Hey guys, welcome back. Let's get into the energy for this week. Could be a bit of a wild ride this week, heading into next week. The main really energetic signature out there right now is this pending conjunction between Mars and Uranus happening in the end of Taurus. This will actually come exact next Monday, but between now and then, we're really like building into this energy. Could be this building sense of tension, anxiety, anticipation, like the feeling that something's going to happen, that something's gonna give, that like we're at the precipice of some type of major change going on. That is the vibe that is coming through right now generally, and also what we're likely to see play out over this next couple of weeks. So spidey senses are probably picking up on something as we move through the energy this week, especially, as we start the week on Monday. The moon in Leo is actually going to be forming a square to Mars and Uranus as they are pending in their conjunction right now, activating that energy. There could be some tension, some conflicts, some blockages in terms of the progress that we're trying to make, where we're trying to get to, what we're trying to do, what we're trying to initiate right now, that is causing a real desire to maybe rebel against something and to like break ourselves out. This is like breaking out of the box type of energy we've got going on this week, big time. There's also a Sun-Saturn retrograde trine in water signs that is happening. We'll talk about that as well, and how I feel like that energy is playing into this Mars-Uranus conjunction that we have going on. Venus will also leave Cancer, enter the sign of Leo this week. It's interesting. We're in a very light Cancer season this year. There's really only the sun transiting through the sign of Cancer as we move through our Cancer new moon cycle. So that is also something that, is a little bit strange about what we have going on right now. Strange times that we're in. Probably going to be an unusual next couple of weeks. Let's get into our report of the day, you guys. Let's look at everything that we do have lining up for us to start our week, and what perhaps we may be able to expect or not expect as we move through this hypercharged Uranian atmosphere. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, July 8th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. If you guys stick with me till the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us as well. I like to tap the energy field for more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get an alternative energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. Let's start with the astrology. As I mentioned, everything is really a wild card right now. Whenever we have a prominent Uranian influence going on out there, that is what is always the catchphrase in the astrological community: expect the unexpected. Mars is an energy that activates things, okay? This is an activating force. So with Mars and Uranus pending into a conjunction, coming into a conjunction now, this is really going to create a very hypercharged Uranian-oriented, like, energetic atmosphere out there, which is going to bring that theme of, like, expect the unexpected, nothing going according to plan, sudden, like, about faces, like, things just popping off out of nowhere. All of that like hypercharged and emphasized as we move through the week this week towards the exact activation that is going to take place on next Monday, July 15th. And then I also feel like from that point forward through the second Capricorn full moon that is going to happen on the 21st of July. I feel like the 21st of July, with that full moon, with that release point, I think that after that things are going to start to maybe simmer down a little bit. But from now really through that full moon peaking on or around the 15th, there is just likely to be this very strong inability to predict anything that's going to be going on. So that being said, all of this is just speculation right now that I'm about to talk about. Very hard to call, very hard to pin down. And what normally would be kind of like a stabilizing side aspect that I would be like, oh, well, at least we have this over here that is grounding us out, I feel like is sort of playing in kind of a contradictory way, actually, as we move through this energy. And that would be the Sun-Saturn retrograde trine that I referred to in my intro as well. While we do have this pending conjunction between Mars and Uranus, that is, we're talking about this happening in the sign of Taurus. This is Earth energy. This is upsetting the status quo, okay? This is like shaking us out of ruts. This is literally like shaking and quaking the ground that we're standing on. disrupting and disturbing the peace, okay? Like that is very much what this energy is likely to bring into our experience, or just into our purview of understanding in the context of like what's happening like on the greater world stage around us. The sun in trine to Saturn retrograde in Pisces, I do feel like this actually is making things less stable, less grounded as we move through this time, because to me, although Saturn normally is this very stabilizing foundational force that helps us to like structure and form our reality, Saturn retrograding in the sign of Pisces, man, like to me this really is about releasing us from breaking down, dissolving the faulty foundations from the past that are no longer a reflection of like what's truly in alignment with like, you know, our higher selves and the upgrades that we're trying to make right now, the process of personal evolution that we're going through if we're applying this to like our own microcosm personal lives and world, or on the world stage, sort of like the belief systems that have like held or maintained like the structure of the 3D matrix and paradigm of reality, like that type of thing breaking down. We talk about it all the time, but it's not, to me, Saturn retrograding the sign of Pisces giving the same stability and endurance and longevity and ability to like form and fix and lay foundations as it would if Saturn was A, not retrograding, and B, not transiting through the sign of Pisces, while C, we have Neptune retrograding at 29 degrees of Pisces. That's something as well. So it's very interesting because we've got this Uranian Martian force coming together, which this is the active initiation. This is like the light code activating for some type of radical progress in a new direction, because Uranus is future oriented, okay? Mars and Uranus, it could be explosive, all right? It could be like combustion, but it is shooting us forward in some direction, whereas the Sun, Saturn trine that we have going on, Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces, the Sun in the sign of Cancer, this to me is actually like releasing us from, as I said, you know, belief systems or the limitations or the restrictions or the illusions of control that have prevented essentially the growth that is indicated now. I feel like it's almost like there has been this suspended animation that's been going on because of the adherence to some type of like belief system that no longer has true grounding in the reality somehow, okay? It's like as soon as that is removed, it's like a rocket ship launching forward in this brand new direction that is like making up for lost time, essentially, is like what I feel like a lot of this is doing. So a lot of the, you know, big, sudden, very fast-paced changes that could be coming up, I think are actually like the snapback from maybe where we've been held back longer than would have been natural in an organic process of evolution and growth, if you guys are following me. Okay, so yeah, like I feel like the Sun Saturn retrograde in combination with the Mars Uranus conjunction is once again another repeating pattern in the energetic field that is supporting both the release of the old ways, the old world, the old paradigm of thought and belief, that is facilitating that, okay, while simultaneously preparing us for this like radical launch in this new direction. Now, another thing I will say, the Sun Saturn trine, while on one hand I'm talking about how it's dissipating and eroding and washing away the illusions of the past, it is also a mechanism that is supporting and promoting the perpetuation of the illusion, which is crumbling right now, okay? So the same force that is projecting the illusion, that has been trying to maintain the hologram of the reality that no longer exists anymore, that is falling from the old world, okay? That is also what is being indicated to be weakening in this energy. So I think that's what I'm trying to say, is that the Saturnian, Piscean, and retrograde energy that to me is representing the breakdown of authority and the breakdown of the control structures and systems that have defined the past, up until now coming into exact alignment with the emergence of these new future trends that are being highly activated and are going to begin to gain prominence and dominance in terms of their energetic weight moving forward, as it is the Uranian frequency that is carrying us forth through the next 2,000 years and actually back into a new golden age of humanity that we are heading towards over the course of the next 10,000 years or so. That's where we're going. We are going out of the Kali Yuga and back up into a golden age energy, and that's a whole nother discussion. But the age of Aquarius is really transitioning us into that process, and it is going to be the release from the control belief matrix paradigm of the past. And when we have these two things playing out side by side, to me, that's what's really going on here on the bigger, wider, grander scale level. And that is, what is being activated in terms of, or seated, I guess we could say, within all of us, which is interesting because actually the position of the sun on Monday as we start our week, it's at 17 degrees of Cancer. And that Sabian symbol is the seed grows into knowledge and life. And I do feel like that is kind of the general vibe that this week is giving, this seeded type of energy. And all there is left to do right now is, grow. There's one direction to go in, up. And even though we really do only have 2 planets transiting the sign of Cancer right now for a Cancer season, and Venus is about to exit the sign of Cancer this week, this is also a sign that has to do with nourishing and cultivating and like tender loving care and preparing things to, come into their full fruition, like the mothering energy. And what is one of the key fundamentals of the maternal energy is the ability to nurture and care for things. So this is a time of evolving and growing individually on some level, and also in terms perhaps of some sense of awareness that is pushing for the upgrades, the changes, and the transitions that are underway right now. The awakening component of things, okay, that is happening while Mars is stimulating and activating this Uranian energy is what is going to be causing people to do things differently, to be acting differently. You might really see some strange behavior going on out there this week. This is a very restless energy that we are moving through. It is not calm. It is not chill. It is not collective. People are likely to be quite wired, and just you might see some people really spinning out. We do want to try to slow down and stay as grounded as we can, consciously doing things to ground yourself in this energy, especially as I said with Saturn retrograde. This is already not very grounding. You put it in the sign of Pisces, there's even less grounding. The fact that Mars and Uranus are happening in the grounded earth sign of Taurus, that is no grounding, okay? There is no grounding, and there is a major electric impulse in the air this week. So don't get shocked, and I mean that literally as well. Be quite careful for sure, especially if you're dealing with anything that has to do with electricity or electric impulses or anything like that. There could be some really interesting things going on with energy right now. There could also be, this is a highly ingenious, invented, brilliant invention and innovation and novel stuff, ideas and stuff like that type of energy going on. But again, ungrounded and electrified, and those two things going together can be quite shocking. So there's also that huge sense of something coming, but no context to frame the anticipation with. That's why Uranian energy a lot of times can be so unsettling, because it really, it is this more prophetic energy. When there's a strong Uranus vibe going on, or when you have a strong Uranian energy just natally in your own chart, there is always this ability to sense what's coming, to be drawn towards the future, to be able to, really predict on some levels how things are going to unfold. But the problem is we don't have the context to understand the greater meaning, and so it can just be very unsettling. That's also why Uranus is a silver lining energy. It brings blessings in disguise, because a lot of times, what Uranus is really moving us towards, it makes the changes for us we haven't been able to make for ourselves. And, a lot of times those changes that are ultimately in our best interest, that do ultimately end up bringing us our greatest gift or blessing, or the best opportunity, or whatever the silver lining is, we don't see it when it's happening. This is also the lightning striking the tower energy. Makes the changes for us we haven't been able to make for ourselves. If we've been walling ourselves in somehow, or if we've been, going down a path that is misguided in terms of where universe wants us to be going down, that tower is going to crumble, and we're going to be free falling whether we want to be or not. And we're going to get put back on that path whether we want to be or not. And it might be kicking and screaming, or it might just be through a very terrifying, uncomfortable, unpredictable, insecure, unstable process. But I'm telling you guys, ultimately, whatever goes on right now is necessary so that like future events can come to pass that need to happen, so that some like ultimate writing or victory or like blessing or divine intervention, like so that something good can actually come, so that we can get on like where we're supposed to be, to have some higher destiny activated that is necessary for some level of soul fulfillment somehow. So eventually we're gonna look back and see it as like, glad that happened, like that was necessary, like that was catalytic in some future event that also needed to happen, that we're not so maybe upset about. But in the preliminary activations, a lot of times this energy can just seem quite purposeless and really bring up a lot of questions, which that's another thing that we've got going on right now with Saturn retrograding through the sign of Pisces, and we just had Neptune session retrograde in the sign of Pisces as well. This is bringing up a lot of questions, a lot of doubts, especially having to do with our belief systems and our perceptions of reality. So go slow this week, you guys. Give yourself time. If you've got to be places, don't put yourself in a situation where you got to go 90 miles an hour to get there. That is planning ahead, okay? Expecting things not to go as planned, but kind of being ready for anything. This simple act of doing our best to be prepared can actually offset a lot of the Uranian energy, because, think about it, like I said, if Uranus is an energy having to do with bringing the future, if we can kind of like align ourselves with that and prepare in advance for like a multitude of possibilities and kind of create our own sense of inner security, a lot of times it does have the tendency of offsetting the just more chaotic nature of what can unfold in the Uranian energy when you are facing that expect the unexpected moment, but there's been no like forethought in terms of the potentials and possibilities that could unfold. So the more kind of like ahead of the game we can stay, even with the knowledge that there's no amount of planning or preparation that might prepare us for what these things could possibly be, that in and of itself, I feel like reverberates the strings in such a way that can lessen the pendulum swing of like energy that goes on in this type of situations and scenarios. So things could feel chaotic, you guys, out of control, insecure, ungrounded, and electrified, as I said. But we want to consciously do our best to ground ourselves so that we don't just get carried away in this energy, because that can be what happened. We can really just get carried away. It can be very reckless and impulsive and split second type of thing, hyper reactive. So the more we can kind of like reel ourselves in, take a step back, take a deep breath, feel the ground underneath our feet, sit with it for a moment, perhaps, it can just maybe help us process some of this energy. Now, another thing I want to say, this is a very important week to stay physically active if you can. We don't want to be a vessel for this Mars-Uranus energy and like hold all of this like high-strung, anxious tension within, okay? If you are, and we're likely to be feeling it in our body because Mars has to do with the physical body and the physical sensations. This is happening in the sign of Taurus, which is all about the senses and the physical body and the physical sensations and stuff. So we really don't want to be like vessels for these frequencies. If you are feeling just real wired and all that, like doing what you can to move your physical body to stay active, to get maybe some hard work done, because energy levels are likely to be running high. This is a good way to kind of like blow off some of that steam so that it's not just like, percolating within you and like spinning you up even more, okay? Now, let's talk about specifically Monday starting this week. The moon is going to be transiting the sign of Leo, which will bring it into a fixed square with Mars and Uranus in their pending conjunction. While we also have the Sun-Saturn trine going on, this to me, moon square Mars and Uranus, conflict and tension having to do with the change, with the progress, with the advancement, with the future potential that maybe we're beginning to uncover, issues with moving things forward somehow. There's likely to be this false sense of loss of control or limitation or overbearing authority that we are struggling against, fighting against, feeling like pressing down, weighing down on us very strongly somehow, struggles with what is holding us back, what we feel confined by, controlled by, limited by, or abandoned and neglected by. Now, as I said when I made that statement, a lot of these are actually going to be false. Saturn, this is the authority, this is the control, this is the form, this is the structure. Saturn is retrograde in the sign of Pisces. This is illusions of control. Neptune retrograde 29 Pisces, illusions of control that have been perpetuated but are perpetually weakening while they maintain their projections at this point in time. We will come to find that these are largely false or largely irrelevant. I do believe actually by the time that we get to the end of the year, they will appear very real right now and perhaps more dominant than ever, but that is literally like the final phase of the projection before the whole projection begins to sort of fade out, which I really do feel like is coming as Saturn stations direct and finishes his transit of the sign of Pisces, and then Neptune also finishes this transit of the sign of Pisces coming 2025-26. Okay, so we need to keep that in mind. A lot of the, the conflict or the frustration or the tension or the blockage or the restriction or just the struggles that might be coming to start this week with the moon and Leo squaring Mars and Uranus while we have the Sun-Saturn trine going on. These blockages that we are, being pushed to break through, a lot of them are not as real as they appear in this energy. Now, I will say this is a fantastic week, as I mentioned earlier, for releasing old belief systems, habits, and behaviors that have been keeping us stuck in patterns or ways of being that were blocking our connection to our higher selves, our true purpose, our true potential. Mars and Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Uranus's whole 7-year transit of the sign of Taurus is about awakening us on some level to some latent potential or purpose or ability that has been, dormant within, but that we are discovering, awakening to, and learning how to use and cultivate and translate, manifest into something physical that we can use somehow, create value with in the 3D physical tangible world. It has everything to do with resources, purpose, potential, assets, value, and how that translates into authentic value in the material physical reality. So with Mars activating that here, again, letting go of these faulty belief systems, perceptions of the past that had actually been keeping us detached from our own power and our own purpose and our own potential, while simultaneously there is this other initiating force within us that is helping to awaken us to the polar opposition of that, and actually everything within us that we had been sleeping on, unaware of, that we are realizing is so valuable as we move through this period of time, and what to do with it going forward. We are coming to learn that we are much, much more capable than we have maybe ever given ourselves credit for, which is a part of this greater transitional process into the age of Aquarius, which we will actually become more powerful and gain more momentum within us, and it will be much more accepted and noted in terms of just the way that things are developing for us as a human species moving forward, because we're going to start trusting ourselves more. We're going to start relying on ourselves more. We're going to start feeling more capable, and we're going to be able to just do more for ourselves that we had in the past believed that we needed to what's that word that I'm thinking of right now, that we needed to outsource to, various experts or various industries or whatever. People are going to take back power in a way that makes them much more just self-regulating, okay, as we move through this period of time, because we're moving towards a phase of self-actualization also. So obviously the more self-actualized you are, the less help you need from a million other people. It's not to say that we're just going to totally become these islands where we all just do everything for ourselves, but I do think that we are going to become much more, again, all these self-words self-reliant, self-sufficient, like self-generating, more resourceful. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that we are going to have more like self-awareness, self-understanding. And I do think we're going to have, I mean, we're heading into an age of knowledge, right? This is going to expand our mind. We have a Jupiter Gemini transit ongoing in a company with this right now as well. Like, we're entering the age of knowledge as we move forward. So when you think about it in that context, it makes sense that this would be the time that we are finally releasing a lot of the old belief systems, Pisces, that have kept us attached to, you know, structured ways of being that have actually blocked and prevented this phase of radical growth that is incoming right now. Okay, so we are freeing ourselves to grow, really, is what this time is about. On the personal level, letting go of how we've always done it and deciding to try something new. People are going to be doing that. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of people just kind of doing that about face, trying something totally new, especially people also that have been like very fixed or very ingrained in certain ways of being for a long period of time that you literally thought would never change. If there was ever going to be a time for that to change or for them to change, like, this would be now. So, you know, if also, you know, people that you know, friends and family, like if they have been really stuck in patterns for long period of time that have not been working out in their best interest, and you've always been maybe looking for like a little in somehow, like, how do I get in there? How do I plant the seed of knowledge that grows into life, referencing the Sabian symbol of the day? This is a good, you know, this would be the time to, you know, maybe put the little breadcrumb or whatever that will lead them on their own trail of discovery that will eventually culminate in them making that shift or change somehow. This is not energy, you guys, where we can force any type of change on anybody else. Quite the contrary, actually. Forcing, controlling. That Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces, like I just got done talking about, the only type of that can have any effect right now is the projection of force. And even the projection of force is not going to last. Like, even if people are still following the rules because they're still under the illusion of the projection, like, there is not much time that projection is even going to maintain that last bit of influence, okay? Fading fast. So things are changing. Don't be fooled by some type of authority or bureaucracy or government or whatever that is projecting some type, or person that is projecting some type of an illusion of strength and power right now. If they are in alignment with these like old world energies that are falling away, this is a facade. This is only being strengthened and maintained by the current belief in it that it still garners and holds, okay? That's why they do it, is because they know that they are still able to like capitalize energetically on the belief of the people that are still falling in line in that regard. Our fear gives life to that illusion that they project, right? That illusion of control, which is what they have and what they maintain for now, but it is fading fast. Like I said, I don't think it's going to last much through this year, and definitely not through 2026. And we also have 9 months of a Black Moon Libra transit going on right now. Injustices are going to start being exposed, could be in like some dark and ugly ways. There is going to be a growing awareness of corrupt and unfair power differentials and abuses of power that have gone on within justice systems, okay, that have been playing their role in perpetuating these illusions, these projections that old world energy has been trying to, you know, maintain the faith and belief in, but, you know, that supported and held up this matrix of the past, that they're still in control. But like I said, it is going to start, all of that is going to start falling apart. The only power it has now is as a result of the lingering belief in it, to the extent that they are still able to garner and generate that. But those beliefs in the false gods with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, the false authorities, they are going to dissolve along with their control over the minds and the hearts and the souls and the evolutionary path of life on Earth. So the seed of knowledge, you guys, growing into, or the seed that is growing into knowledge and life, rather, this energy has already been seeded. It's like the end has already happened. Like, we're in the strong Uranian energy. Like, there's a destiny that is being activated. Like, the war has been won, I guess we could say, but things are just sort of in the process of playing out, getting to that point. We need things to line up properly in order, you know, so that the dominoes can fall over in the way that is getting us to this greater result, which is our transition of ages right now, which is the universal cosmic blueprint, which cannot be avoided by any, like, attempts to manipulate the energetic nature of the reality anymore going forward. Okay, also something to keep in mind that I have not mentioned in my report, I didn't mention in this in my new moon report, but that new moon and where we're at now, actually July 8th, this is the square from that April 8th eclipse point, that really big eclipse point. If you guys remember back, our new moon in Aries this year was also a really powerful total solar eclipse that crossed like directly across the United States. We're at the square point of that now. So there could be developments in terms of things that started on or around April 8th. And again, the past and the future, you guys, the old world falling away, the emergence of this new reality that is upcoming. As I said, this period of time is a turning point. Things are changing. Soon we will begin to notice. If you haven't noticed already, you guys, you're going to really begin to notice over, you know, as we move forward through the summer and through the rest of this year. So that's what I have to say about the astrology today. Moving through the week. It's just all week. There's just really this building sense of anticipation. It's really all just this, like, ball of Mars and Uranus, but then we've got Saturn, the sun. That will be what we're going to talk about in the video on Wednesday. That will be exact. And then we're also having Venus change signs this week as well, so that will bring a bit of an energetic shift. But really, it's just like all like signs and indications and like flashing lights pointing towards the Mars-Uranus conjunction that is coming up next week. So there's the astrology, you guys. Let's talk about the tarot cards for just a minute. You know, we got a little bit of an interesting reading going on here today. We've got talk of new beginnings coming, okay? We are, as we know, at the precipice of something totally new. We're going to be going in a new direction. We're going to be building new things. We're going to be starting new projects. There is a need to release some negative emotions that are, and it's funny because Saturn retrograde in the sign of Pisces. The King of Cups reversed, okay, which is with the 10 of Wands, releasing the burden. There is an emotional burden, you guys, that needs to be released that we've been carrying from the past. Maybe it's been holding us down. Maybe it's been holding us back. Maybe it's been boxing us in. But this to me is talking about some level or layer of toxic internalized emotions that we've been harboring, we've been carrying, that have actually maybe been blocking our ability to see our own strength, our own power, or our own potential somehow, directly related to our ability to get to these new beginnings. Sun, trine, Saturn retrograde, water signs. This is, as I was saying, excellent week, you guys, to release ourselves from any negative emotional beliefs or perceptions about our potential, about our capability, about who we really are, about, you know, what our purpose is, what we came here to do, the internal narratives that we've been telling ourselves. If they're not in alignment with, you know, the divine vision of, you know, God's highest ideal of us, then we shouldn't be seeing ourselves in that light, and we shouldn't be talking to ourselves like that. And it doesn't matter how long you may have been conditioned to have a negative emotional relationship with yourself. It's time to let that go, really, and learn to trust ourselves again, learn to respect ourselves, and actually we need to find the inspiration, like find the inner child, find the spark. The other two cards that we had coming out were the Page of Wands in reverse and the 10 of Pentacles, the Ace of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles. Look at this. We've got the Ace of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles, okay? We've got the Page of Wands and the 10 of Wands. We've got the King of Cups in reverse. It's talking about, you know, the path to building our dreams. We need to actually reconnect with the inner child, find what like initially inspired us, find our true passions, find what really like lights us up inside, find that creative spark within us that may, in reverse, may have been latent or lost for long periods of time, perhaps because maybe we've been blinded by this toxic emotional burden or emotional load or relationship to ourselves, or, you know, something like that. Okay, that's what this is saying to me. So, you know, if this applies to you out there, if you're feeling hopeless, if you're feeling uninspired, if you're feeling like you don't have a purpose, it's probably honestly because of some like internal toxic emotions or some like faulty subconscious programming, like bad like programming in the context of your own self-perception, you know, your ability to see yourself, how you've been spoken to, how you've been treated, and maybe how that has over time become the way that you speak to and treat yourself, and how that perhaps has actually detached you or taken you off the path, or, you know, put you in a situation that is not in alignment with who you really are and who you're meant to be. This reading to me is saying that this success here, the value here, the growth here comes from rediscovering the we've got a Leo moon to start the week as well, like the inner child, like something to do with the inner child, healing the inner child, recognizing, you know, getting back in touch with and allowing that passion to breathe life, essentially, right? Like the seed grows into knowledge and life, allowing that passion to pull us forward into releasing perhaps like that negative conditioning from the past. That the Ten of Wands, like he can't see where he's going. He's just blindly moving forward with this massive load, okay? And with the King of Cups there, that is, and that also, the King of Cups, that could also be toxic authority figures that, like, if we listen to their feedback too much, if we internalize what they're saying, could also keep us blind and burdened with the false belief and perception that, you know, we're not enough, that we can't do it, and really really detach us from that inspiration and that spark and that motivation that is actually the golden ticket right now with the Ace of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles to help us go through this phase of like real physical material like growth or value, or discovering the worth or value within us somehow to create, build, grow something that could be really truly fulfilling. Okay, so that's what I'm going to say about the tarot cards for today. Let's get a synchronicity card now. God, Spirit, Universe, one more piece of advice, information, guidance. What would it benefit us to know? What should we keep in mind as we move through this week, as we head towards this conjunction? You know, the week before a big conjunction like this too, like that's very, very prominent, strong, dominant, you know, as this energy comes together. So really might even be feeling it this week more so than the actual activation next week. And our card says, stop. Don't argue, which is what I was saying earlier. If you guys remember, I was talking about the hyper-reactive nature in Mars. This is anger, okay? And we're going to be talking a lot more about this. We're going to be talking all about this energy Wednesday, Friday, Monday, probably the Wednesday after that. So we're going to really, really get into like all the different dynamics and dimensions of the potentiality of this energy. But sudden arguments and anger, you know, that is definitely one way that this could manifest. And our guidance literally is stop with an exclamation point. Don't argue. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Exodus 14:14. Don't fight or argue. Rest in the assurance God is working for you on this matter, which is true. This is Uranus. That is the divine influence, the great rectifier, the galactic fixer. Relax, let go, and know a divine solution takes place. Harmony will return. Behave now as if it is already before you. So as we're moving through this energy, you guys, you know, which with the square from the moon and another fire sign, right? Things could just really get a bit heated, but we do want to like take a deep breath, you know, feel the ground under your feet, like hold back maybe a little bit, maybe not just forward, all the speed and all the velocity and all the like dynamism, combustion, you know, like that. So that's our advice as we begin our week this week, and I feel like that's some good advice. That's what I have to say, you guys. Message from the stars, message from the cards. I hope you guys liked that. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would also be interested in this type of astrology content. Leave me comments. I am so grateful for your presence here. Thank you guys so much. I really, truly value and appreciate all of your comments, everything that you have to say. If you are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this here whiteboard over here, I have a link in my description box where I post images of those in a Facebook group, so that's where you can find that. And come back with me on Wednesday, you guys. We will have more of this energy to get into, and that will be the day, I believe, or the video where we will talk about the exact trine that we have playing out this week between the Sun in Cancer and Saturn in the sign of Pisces. So that's what I have to say. I will be back next time, you guys. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you then. Have a really beautiful start to your week, and until next time, bye guys.